So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question. And this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day guys, and welcome to the next episode of the Weight Loss Secrets podcast. My name's Baron Grant and I'm wrapped to be with you for another day, another idea, another tip, something that's going to help you make changes in your life so you can finally keep all the weight off that you want after you lose it. So this time we want to make sure you lose it all and keep it off. That's the goal. It's about changing your life to live like a healthy person. That's what I say. If you want to feel like, look like, smell like, taste like a healthy person, then you've got to do what healthy people do every day. And today I want to really focus on setting some goals for your weight loss journey. If you're listening to this video, or watching this video, or listening to this podcast, you're clearly looking to lose some weight, or you're looking to maintain the weight that you've got to. But if you're looking to lose weight and you haven't started, today's session is really for you, because it's about setting the right goals that are going to help you to be able to get there. Now, before you set any goals, right, I want you to go back and watch my other video about why are you losing weight, because you've got to really, that's number one. You've got to get your head in the right place for why you're doing this in the first place. Remember, goals such as I want to lose weight to look better in a dress for the wedding, or they're just flaky. Like, they're important for 2 weeks and then they're gone. But if you want to get healthy for good, you've got to change that headspace. We all have to change that headspace if we want to achieve anything. But if we want to get healthy for good and keep the weight off, it's got to be a total mindset shift, a total behavior shift, so that we live differently forever. And that differently is more enjoyable, I promise, than maybe where you're at right now. So setting goals. I want to give some structure, 5 steps, I guess, in setting your goals that will help you to get really ready to win on this game. So step number 1 is chunk it down. So you might be at a place where you want to lose 40, 50, 60 kilos. I don't know, everyone's at a different spot. But that might seem insurmountable. Like you're standing at the bottom of Mount Everest. I've said this before. You're standing at the bottom of Mount Everest looking up and going, oh man, I'm never ever going to get there. And so sometimes if you look at it, if you only look at the top of the mountain, of that 50 or 60 kilos that you need to lose, you might feel like it's never achievable. So I think it's good to chunk it down. I always talk about not having short-term thinking, but for this little bit, I think it's important to sometimes chunk that down a little bit and go, right, I've got to get my first 5 kilos off. I've got to get my first 10 kilos off. So chunk down your goals a little bit. But I'm a fan of setting some time frames with those goals, which we'll talk about in a little minute. But chunk it down, because you can only lose weight day by day, really. And if we think about it as this enormous task, we'll never start. So even if you just chunk that 40 kilos down to 5 kegs and go, right, I want to lose 5 kegs in 2 weeks' time. That's realistic. The first 5 kegs. You can lose that a bit faster. But start to chunk down some goals in that way. So try not to look at it as this one big, massive beast of 30, 40, 50 kilos to lose. Chunk it down piece by piece, okay? Kilo at a time, 5 kilos at a time, 10 kilos at a time. Number 2 is you've got to work out an eating plan. Now I do that, and you can access that at Ditching the Diet, as my phone starts vibrating. You can access that at ditchingthediet.com, and you can get more information about that, and you can book a call and we can chat on the phone. Or you can work it out yourself, and that's cool too. So if you're going to work it out and do your own eating plan, that's fine, but you've got to have a plan. One of the big things I see all the time where people fail is they wake up one day and they go, that's it, I'm starving myself today, that's it. Or I'm going to eat really well, and they start, without any plan, and they go, all right, they eat a beautiful breakfast. They might eat some yogurt and berries for breakfast, and then they're stuffed by lunch because there's no plan, and then they eat crap for the rest of the day. So many people that I talk to, they say to me, Baron, I start the day really well, I really do. And then they fall to pieces in the afternoon because they've got no structure and no plan. So plan it out. It does matter to get the best results, but the best eating plan in the world is the one that you actually do, as opposed to the one that you think about and never do. So work it out what you want to do. I've given lots of advice in other podcast episodes and other videos, so you can go back and look at those if you want on the right types of food to eat, but you have to get a plan going. Whether you create it yourself or you get on somebody else's and they tell you exactly what to do, get a plan. because that will hold you, something to hold you accountable so that you don't just fall off in the afternoons and it all turns to crap. So plan it out. However you're planning to do it, make sure you take some time and sit down. Give yourself a few days before you start. Don't try and go, I'm going to eat healthy today. I'm sick of being fat. That's it. I'm going to eat healthy today. I'm on. That's what lots of people do and they fail. And then they feel like they're never going to do it and their body's broken, but it's not. It's because they haven't got some structure around it to get started. So that's point number 2. Sit down and plan out the type of food that you're going to eat, whichever way that you want to go. Okay. Number 3 is work out some sort of an exercise plan. Now, I'm an advocate for just walking when you're trying to lose weight. Nothing else, just walking. But you've got to, even if you just walk, then you've got to build a plan around that. Because if you don't have a plan, without a plan, you'll fail. So walking, if you're going to walk, what time are you going to walk in the morning? How long are you going to walk for? What distance are you going to cover? How many days a week are you going to do that? Have a plan. If your plan is not to walk, that's fine. If it's to swim, that's cool. How much are you going to swim? How often are you going to do it? Lock it into my calendar. And if you're not going to do that, if you're going to do CrossFit or you're going to do, just doing weight training in the gym or cardio, what doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you choose to do. But once again, the best exercise program is the one that you do. Every time, that's always the best, because if you don't do it, it's worthless. So plan it out and say, you got to figure out what days you're going to do it. Should be every day if you're walking. But what days you're going to do it and how often are you going to do it and how much time are you going to spend on it and how far will you travel, all that sort of stuff. Lock it into your calendar, because without a plan of doing that, once again, you will fall off the wagon, because there's no plan, you'll fail. End of story, okay? Number 4, you've got to be realistic. That sounds boring. Be realistic and ambitious with your weight loss. If you go into it, expecting to lose 100 grams a week, then you probably don't have enough ambition about it. But if you go into it saying, I'm going to lose 8 kilos a week, well, that's completely unrealistic. That's almost not possible. That's not possible for your body to do, right? So you've got to find where is a healthy place to be. And frankly, for most people, if you're 10 kilos overweight, 20 kilos overweight, if you're not losing a kilo a week, you're probably doing it wrong and you're probably doing it too slow. Now, if you're really patient, occasionally I talk to a person who loses, Baron, I lost 5 kilos in 7 months and they were really happy with it. Well, cool. Vast majority of people are not happy with that. And if you're happy with that, that's cool, but you've got some insane patience that I certainly don't have and most people don't have. So if you set yourself somewhere around a kilo a week, you can't go wrong, right? That's a good, healthy, consistent weight loss. You can do a bit more than that depending on your size. Like if you're 140, 150 kilos, you're going to lose 5 to 10 kilos in the first week or so, because if you eat the right foods, you've got such a high basal metabolic rate, your body is demanding of so many calories that you'll lose a lot faster. You'll also, the first week or so, you always lose a bit of water as well. So you'll lose heavier earlier, but averaging out about a kilo a week on your journey is a pretty healthy place to be. And I shouldn't say easy, simple to do if you do it in the right ways. Okay, so be realistic, but be ambitious. Don't go in going, I'm going to lose 100 grams a week, and don't go in thinking I'm going to lose 5 kilos a week. You've got to be realistic, but set some pretty high goals to ensure that you can get there fast. It's important, because if you don't have a bit of speed in your weight loss, you'll likely quit. Because if you don't see the scales moving, it's very, very frustrating, and you feel like all the effort is worth nothing. So therefore, you go, stuff it. I'm just going to eat the hot chocolate or drink the hot chocolate. So not a good way to go if you're going too slow. And number 5 is track your progress. You've got to track your progress. There's so many ways you can track your progress. Number 1 is on the scales. You can see your progress on the scales. Don't be scared of the scales. Some people I talk to are scared to get on the scales because they're embarrassed about where it's at. You've got to see where you're at. If you don't know where you're at, you can't see improvement. Then some people are obsessed with the scales. And so they're on the scales every day and they don't allow their body enough time to make the changes they need to make to get to where they want to be. And then they get frustrated because they haven't lost in 3 days and they're like, none of this works, it's the worst. So be mindful of how often you get on the scales. Once a week is good, but that's just one way to track your progress. Another way, you can take measurements if you really want to. You'll see progress in that. You can see how your clothes fit. That's progress. You can see how you look in the mirror. That's progress. So there's a variety of different ways that you can see progress. If you're heavily overweight and you have a large stomach, bending over to tie your laces is hard. You have to hold your breath sometimes to go and tie your laces. If that's becoming easier, that's progress. There's so many ways to track your progress, but I would encourage writing some things down about how you're feeling. If you write at the start, I feel like X, Y, and Z. Generally, if you're trying to lose weight, you're probably feeling pretty average and tired and lethargic and uncomfortable. If you start writing down a little journal entry once a week, once every couple of weeks on that weight loss journey, it'll be so exciting to watch your progress as you change. Sometimes you can't see it, but you can feel it. And then, because you look at yourself all day, every day in the mirror, it's hard to notice it. But then someone sees you 5 weeks later and like, what the hell, you lost heaps of weight. But take a couple of notes about how you're feeling, and you'll notice it changing as your body changes and you feel more positive and more comfortable in your own skin. So they're my 5 tips, 5 steps, whatever you want to call them, that will help you to set your goals and get you started on your weight loss journey. Chunk it down. Don't only look at it a bit, but don't only look at the big number that you've got to lose. Chunk it down to little bite-sized pieces so that you can go, right, in 2 weeks, I'm going to be 1.5 kilos lighter. Awesome, that's a good goal. All right, so chunk it down piece by piece. Number 2, work out an eating plan. Don't just mindlessly start because you're frustrated one day and you want to lose weight and you're just like, stuff it, I'm going to starve myself tomorrow. I'm going to do intermittent fasting, or I'm going to do shakes, or whatever it is that you're choosing to do. Don't just start mindlessly without stopping and trying to work out a plan that has some structure. If you have some structure, there's more chance you'll stay on it. That applies also to number 3, which is your exercise program. Plan it out. Book in time. Lock it in so that you know what you're going to be doing every day. And then there's not going to be as much excuses because you've got a plan, you're going to be accountable. Number 4 is be realistic but ambitious with your goals. So make sure that your goals are ambitious enough that stay excited about, yep, I'm going to lose 1 kilo or so a week. That's ambitious enough. So, and then the other one is to track your progress. Number 5, track your progress. Make sure you're either taking photos or looking at the scales or measurements or checking your clothes against you. Find the mechanism that's going to help you to track your progress, and you'll do awesome. These things are helpful for you to get started, but not just when you get started. They're helpful for you all the way on your journey, as you might need to reevaluate where you're at and recommit to start again. That's my tip for today. Hopefully it's helpful for you. Have an amazing night. Talk soon.